Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today we're going to do our first year review for the Xbox Series X and S. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get started with this. So, as you all know, Xbox Series X came out exactly a year ago. Well, 3 days. 3 days it'll be a year. I did wait until after I had a chance to play Forza Horizon 5 before I did this review because I feel like that's just a little bit, um, it's definitely within the 1 year. I did buy the $100 version so I could play it earlier. I wanted to be as fair for the Xbox as I possibly could because as it said, PlayStation was killing it with launching first party games. This is the first Microsoft owned studio to really produce something that was a expected, B should have been a launch title, possibly C actually has one of Microsoft's. I'm going to call them one of their premium developers. Playground Games is nothing short of amazing. They've been doing the Forza Horizon series now for, since the end of the 360 generation. So I mean they've got over 10 years, a little over 10 years of working on this franchise, and they have been acquired by Microsoft, so they are a first party studio. And I mean, I would have considered them a first party studio before that if I didn't know any better. But yeah, so all right, so now that we've had that, I mean, basically with Xbox Series X, we have really had to rely on third party games. Third party games have been hit and miss for the most part. I mean, that's completely true. My first experience on my Xbox Series X was, in fact, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Valhalla was the first game that I actually turned on and played on my Xbox Series S on November 10th when I got it at 11 a.m. in the morning. I downloaded the game, I started playing that, and wow, 60 frames a second blew me away. There was no going back after playing that game at 60 frames a second. There was just no going back to 30 frames a second for me. So that was the first moment of this generation that really captivated me and propelled me forward. And not only did it run at 60 frames a second, the visuals were just mind blowing to me at that point. And this is an Ubisoft game that's running parity on the PlayStation 5. So I was like, wow, man, that's pretty impressive that we're getting that much vegetation, that we're getting this much, the textures look better. When I'm on top of something and I'm looking down, I can see texture in the ground still. Like I'm not seeing as much blur or potato graphics as we used to. So I was pretty satisfied with that. I was pretty freaking happy. My next experience was Dirt 5. Dirt 5 was a visual showcase as well for the most part. But I had already seen that one on my Xbox One X, and to be completely honest, the jump from that to the Series X wasn't really as in your face as I thought it was going to be. Because let's face it, the Xbox One X is a pretty potent machine. Like, that thing was still giving us pretty decent graphics. And I feel like with those two titles, because I did start playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on my Xbox One X as well, but it was definitely a major leap in a major transition from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, that it was just like, wow. And there was a lot more detail going on the Xbox Series X version. But if you take a game like Dirt 5 that was actually right on the cusp of both generations, for them to be able to get as much of the visual fidelity and everything back ported to Xbox One X, for there not to be that big of a jump was kind of like, wow, man, that kind of had me a little like, ooh, man, really? So that had me thinking, wow, man, this Xbox One X is still a pretty decent machine. And we've seen that continue throughout the beginning of this generation. I mean, we're still getting some games that are coming out with a higher resolution on the Xbox One X than they are on the PlayStation 5. But the PlayStation 5 is running those games at 60 FPS, whereas the Xbox One X is usually capped at around 30. But visual wise, it still holds up pretty well today. So you are definitely seeing like a cross-gen thing that is bringing that Xbox One X forward, while it's not, I mean, like, while the Xbox Series S isn't necessarily competing visually wise, It is, but I mean, it just depends on the game. Some games you're getting way more stuff in the Xbox Series S version at a higher frame rate, whereas the Xbox One X, you're getting a higher native resolution, but with less density and visuals and stuff like that. It's been an interesting generation for Xbox for sure. I mean, their new hardware is competing with their old hardware that is still doing pretty decent, except for when it gets to load times. Load times are freaking much improved this generation going forward. It's a pretty big gulf. Like you're getting into games faster, you're getting more playtime. Whereas on last gen, yeah, you're still waiting on some of these cross gen games to continue fully loading in. But if you look at the newest release, Forza Horizon 5, that's pretty impressive that game still runs on a base Xbox at 30 frames a second and is still able to give you an overall pretty decent experience. So, like I said, my first two experiences were Dirt 5 and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which ushered in my new, like, oh, get to see my next gen console. But they really weren't as impressive as they would have been, as they could have been, because they are cross generation games, and that happens all the time. But we did see a major jump in frame rates, because not only could you play Dirt 5 at 60 frames a second, but you could also play it at a pretty decent 120 frames a second at 1440p. So that there was impressive all in its own. We've seen a lot of games coming out that are actually tapping into, the 120 hertz mode on the Xbox Series X and S. And yes, I have played games at 120 frames a second on my Xbox Series S, my daughter's Xbox Series S. So that there is pretty impressive all on its own, seeing as that console was $30 or $300. That's pretty impressive for $300, man. Like, you're getting a pretty decent visual package. I've got her hooked up to a 1080p monitor or TV, so she's actually getting a really good, image quality on a lot of the games that she likes to play. So it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm grateful for the lower price of entry, to be able to buy her games. We do buy games digitally, so that not having a disc drive is not even a problem. But the Xbox Series X has been one heck of a feature-packed console, a seamless experience from the start that has only improved and gotten much better as this generation has gone on. We have variable refresh rate, which is really good for when those games come out that aren't necessarily hitting, a solid 60 frames a second, but they do have a higher resolution. Having VRR engaged, you cannot tell when you're dropping frames. Like it's great. Like, you can't tell. The perception of playing that game at 60 frames a second is pretty locked. It feels good. And it looks good. So that there is a major bonus, especially for a lot of these cross-generation titles that are coming out, for the Xbox One, for the Xbox Series X, because let's face it, PlayStation is the most popular console, so I'm pretty sure that gets most of the performance gains and everything right then and there. They're putting that game together and porting it over to Xbox. So the fact that Xbox has built-in things to make those games better is amazing. You get better texture resolution. You get better textures with AF anastrophic filtering at 16x on a lot of these older games as well, like really making them pop. The fact that we're getting FPS boost on a lot of older titles, that makes that's amazing. Not only are you getting FPS boost, but you're also getting the ability for the textures to look a lot better as they load in. They look great. Like, this system is freaking amazing. These are all basic system level features that really enhance the experience more than what's just developed and put on the game and shipped on the code. You are also getting the support for Dolby Vision now. That just came out pretty recently, so it's not like, oh, you can't. But I've went back and I've tested a lot of games, and the fact that the way that Dolby Vision just makes the colors look better and gives you and in return gives you much better clarity on a lot of the different things inside the game worlds is pretty freaking phenomenal. Like, yeah, you are getting a dimmer picture overall, but the contrast ratio is just so much better. Oh wait, no, that's OLED. You're getting. I mean, if you have it hooked up to to a QLED or whatever, you're gonna still get your bright highlights and everything else. But the fact that Dolby Vision can enhance an image as much as it is for a lot of different things is pretty amazing, and I really hope that that the competitors bring something like that to the table as well, because I game on both, and I would love to have that on my other consoles as well. When it comes to first party support for the Xbox, I'm not gonna lie, it's been pretty slim. We've gotten Gears Tactics, which was basically developed on PC and then ported to Xbox. I mean, it looks amazing. It plays great on the Xbox. It's definitely a niche title, kind of like a Demon Souls type game. I'm pretty sure like the Demon Souls are probably maybe a little bit more popular than RTS shooters on the console platform. You also have games like Psychonauts 2, which is not I guess it is kind of exclusive on next gen platforms, because it doesn't have a PlayStation 5 version or whatever. But you still got games like Flight Simulator, which is also a PC game that was ported to the Xbox. And that game's phenomenal. I still stand by that as the most impressive technological game on the market today. The most next gen feature rich game that I could really think of, aside from not having like ray tracing or anything like that. I mean, it's still pretty impressive. It is definitely a niche game, but it's a simulator that can be enjoyed as a game. Like, I enjoy it just fine. I don't get into the whole simulation of flying planes, but the fact that I can fly basically any game I want, it's like, to me, it's Forza Horizon for the skies. So I'm really enjoying that experience. And I'm grateful that I was able to enjoy that experience and be able to play that and have a good time with it, because being able to explore our whole planet is freaking mind-blowing. It's freaking mind-blowing. And then we have, after that, we got, our Forza Horizon 5, basically. I mean, like, we haven't really had a lot of first-party support for the Xbox console, and that's understandable. It's not like they came out here and promised us a whole bunch of stuff in the first year. They didn't promise us anything. They just said, hey, man, we're working on it. We are putting the Xbox out, but we are working on it. So, I mean, it never really it never really bugged me that I wasn't getting these first-party games. It was just, okay, well, yeah, as soon as they come out, like, that's pretty cool. I mean, to me, they've gotten themselves lined up to where they can start dropping, first party games, every quarter at least. Every quarter we should definitely be seeing something new from an Xbox studio. They have more than enough studios now. So it really shouldn't be an excuse to be able to have continuous third part or first party support going forward. Forza Horizon 5. I've already put my review out for this. This game is freaking phenomenal. It is the best looking console game on the market right now. Like, hands down, it is the best looking game. The only other game that comes pretty close is Far Cry 6. I did today go back and look at all my PlayStation 5 games, all my PlayStation 5 first party games, and to tell you the truth, like, there's nothing on there that even comes close to what Forza Horizon 5 does on the Xbox Series X. It's literally phenomenal. Just the sheer fact of the scale of this open world and how amazing it looks. Yeah, you're just not going to get that level of detail on anything else that is on the market on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox at this particular moment. There are a lot of close runner-ups, but as it sits right now, the Forza Horizon 5 is the best looking game on the market. The sheer amount of detail in this game is literally overwhelming, and that's in the 60 frames per second mode. If you go to the 4K mode, the 4K 30 mode, oh wow, like, it's just literally perfect. Me personally, I play it in the 60 frames per second mode, and that's more than sufficient for me. It looks great. So now let's go on to our favorite subject of Xbox, Game Pass. Game Pass is a phenomenal value. This year alone, they have delivered so much content for the low price of your Game Pass subscription. You have gotten well over the $170 invested in that whole first year. Like, you have gotten so much content. Games that I bought day one, like Dirt 5, are on Game Pass. You're going to be getting all of the EA games that are coming to that will be coming to Game Pass as well. So yeah, that includes games like Battlefield 2042 in like 6 months to a year or whatever. You'll have that ability to play that game on Game Pass too. Game Pass is a phenomenal value. It is probably the best selling point for Xbox going forward. I mean, you're definitely getting your power. If you buy an Xbox Series X, you are getting your power. You are going to see some amazing visuals coming out of that this year, or out of this generation, as well as pretty good support for your Xbox Series S. Like, you're going to get like beautiful visuals out of that as well. And there's another kicker that comes with Game Pass that's going to be launching here pretty soon. Probably, I mean, definitely by the end of this year. I mean, it's in the final phases of being rolled out. So to like the beta, to the people, you know, that are in the beta club or whatever, cloud gaming from your console. Cloud gaming from your console is going to be more of a freaking game changer than just being able to have Game Pass. I have been testing this out on my computer, because I can now cloud stream right from Game Pass to my PC. This is amazing. I'm getting faster loading times. I'm getting a 1080p image, and I'm getting solid 60 frames a second on everything I've downloaded. Except for Battlefield 5 kind of gives me like this, but it still looks amazing. It still looks great. But every once in a while, I'll see like the whole thing just kind of reload in again over the top of it. It'll just start from the top and go all the way to the bottom. Latency feels a little off on that one too. But games like Forza Horizon 4 and all the other ones that I've been playing on there, oh man, they feel pretty dang good. It's pretty good. So in all actuality, like this Xbox is probably the best Xbox that we've ever seen. Like, this is great. We're getting a lot of freaking decent content from third party and first party into Game Pass, as well as, you know, just so many system level features that are amazing, like smart delivery. It's freaking pretty cool. You buy a game on one console, you put it in your Xbox Series X, and boom, all your save data and everything transfers right over seamlessly. It's amazing. Like, the Xbox platform is so seamless and so freaking fun to play that, like, you just literally get lost in it. When I come home and I'm ready to play a game, the Xbox is the first controller I go for. It's just the one that has become central to my gaming experience, and I've pretty much gamed on everything, but Xbox is basically where I play all my games now. Like, that's just what I do. I do still continue to play my first party PlayStation games on the PlayStation, but yeah, going forward from the end of last generation with Xbox One X to Xbox Series X, I can definitely say that is my platform of choice now going forward. It has been for a few years now. I still you know, eagerly await my PlayStation 5 first party games. With great anticipation, and, you know, being able to have the Xbox Series X and all the content that I've gotten on that, it's made waiting for those games a lot easier. And I really feel bad for all the PlayStation fans that are really going to have to go all the way till February before they get their next you know, first party game. But like this. It's fine. Like, it's really nothing to make a really big deal about. February's really not that far away. It's actually pretty close now. We're getting there. I mean, we're in a holiday season. We're almost to Thanksgiving. So yeah, dude, that's not even that much. Not even that much of a wait. On the Xbox side, you'll have Halo coming out next month. That'll keep you busy. Exactly 1 month and 1 day. So yeah, like, things are gonna start heating up. We're gonna hopefully get some decent releases here in January and going forward. But yeah, 2022 is shaping up to be a really good year. 2021 was pretty rocky, pretty rough. Definitely can't really deny that. But the fact that we've had so much decent third party support this year to keep us busy has been pretty good. Like, if I didn't have both consoles, maybe it wouldn't be as great as it is. But yeah, I've definitely had more than enough experiences to keep me busy, and I've got more than enough experiences right now to keep me busy going forward. So if you like this content and you want to see more of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.